Hi, Jessica. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. What brings you in today?
So basically, recently I'm just have a worry, and a lot of frustration because I'm not sure where I will be after graduating from the social work program. Because on one hand, I really like Canada. I really want to get a
Hmm.
job in Canada, but at the same time, I really miss my family in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And then my mom always said that you should come back to Hong Kong to work so that I could see you every day. So that's something, that's my struggle that I've been thinking about recently,
Hmm.
but I just feel really frustrated and don't know what to do.
It's hard when you have a lot of sort of opposing forces or and demands. What are some like where you said that you're frustrated? Like, sir, where's the frustration coming from? Is like I know there's a lot of uncertainty. Could it
Yeah.
be from that?
So my frustration is I really want to make my mom happy because I have a really great relationship with my mom when I was young. I really
Hmm.
want to see her again, but at the same time, I really want to live in Canada. I really like the work-life balance style in Canada, the mountains, and the trees, and everything here. So that's my struggle, and that makes me feel kind of sad because I don't know what should I do for next.
Yeah, and that's a difficult question. Like, there's no one right answer. And I think, do you think it would be helpful if you just sort of, if we took this time, sort of balance out some of the pros and cons, just sort of see what Canada has to offer, like in your perspective, and maybe what Hong Kong could offer? Like,
Yeah,
sometimes
that would
just
be great. I
seeing.
like to objectively evaluate different options before I make a decision, but I never thought about that. So I think it would be a great
Yeah, no,
activity.
sometimes it's hard. Like I know personally, like I struggle a lot just like these things seem simple and having another person to reflect off of, it can really help. So I guess did you want to start with Canada or Hong Kong? Like where
I
did
would start with Canada because I like Canada more.
okay.
So I think the pros will be if I stay in Canada, there will be a work-life balance. I will suffer from less stress when I'm here. It really helps my improves my mental health and well-being in general. So um, I think I also I really like the nature here, like the fresh air, everything here. So this is the pros, and
Hmm.
but I think the cons of Canada is I really miss my family. I sometimes feel homesick, like when I see people they could meet their families during Thanksgiving, Christmas, and my family's in Hong Kong. I feel kind of sad and kind of
It's
lonely at the same time. Even though I have a sister living in London, Ontario, but it doesn't I still miss my father, my mom. So that is the cons of living in Canada.
yeah, no, that's really difficult. And you said that you had your sister, so that is some family support, but it's not always the same in being able to do this. And it sounds like it would be very isolating, like an isolating experience,
Yeah,
seeing, especially during these holiday times.
that's
Like,
true.
it's hard. Are you able to sort of connect with your family, like through like media, video
Yeah, actually,
calls?
I call my grandmother almost every day,
Oh.
and my mom every week. My father every month. I mean, I could still connect with them. That's true, but it seems like it's different from the face-to-face interaction when you can hug your families. That
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
connection is completely different from the virtual type of connection.
Technology
So
can only take us so far. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I know that it's not a solve all, but sometimes I do find like my family lives across the country, so I find that sometimes just that knowing that you have that contact can help. But I completely feel and understand like sometimes you just want a hug from your mom, and it's
yeah,
hard. Like, and I can see that's a really compelling case for moving to Hong Kong,
yeah.
like moving back.
That's
But I
true.
also think you made a lot of good points. Like you enjoy the sort of the fresh air, the nature, and the work life balance. I will be sort of transparent. I am not well versed just sort of in like sort of cultural norms in like other places for work life balance, but it does seem like just there is a lot more pressure to be performing in sort of longer hours. So like I think that's a very genuine and valid concern. Did you like? I was gonna say, I know family is a big sort of motivator. Is there sort of other areas about like in China that you'd sort of be sort of other polls?
Um, do you mean Canada
Sorry,
describing or Hong
sorry,
Kong?
sorry.
Okay.
My bad. I apologize for the things. I am not great with words. But no, I meant for moving back to Hong Kong.
Okay.
Do you think that like is there sort of is it mostly family or is there sort
Yeah,
of
I do
others?
think because I actually study in high school in Hong Kong, so my best friend they were actually in Hong Kong, so
Hmm.
sometimes I miss them as well. So it's basically friends and families in general.
Yeah.
But the cons of moving back to Hong Kong is like every time when I went back to Hong Kong, I felt like I always got sick, and I spent a lot of money to like treat my, for example, nose allergy, eye allergy, and eczema. So it's
Mm.
just my body doesn't feel good when I live in Hong Kong. I think it's because there are a lot of air pollution, a lot of pollution there that um, caused me to struggle with this kind of allergies, and then so this is one of the
Yeah, would it
cons.
be all right if I just made an observation? Like, I just want to make sure I'm on the right track, but to me, it sounds like you're almost making a case for why staying in Canada would be the better option. Does that sort of resonate?
Yes, true. That's what I want, but at the same time, because of the I was raised in Hong Kong, is I was
Mhm.
more influenced by the collectivistic culture. Sometimes I also need to consider the perspectives of my families, like when I make decision. So that's why when I moved to Canada, I tried to learn the individualistic type of thinking, but at the same time, I sometimes will stick to like I may need to consider the perspective of my parents.
I think that, and that's a very big strength that even now, like, it's very easy to lose kind of your roots, especially in such a busy program and the individualistic, like, society. It's always, you need to make sure that you get your things done. If other people, like, that's not as important. And I just sort of want to touch on that.
Yeah,
You are still very much connected to your culture and, like, Hong Kong, it sounds. And I think that you just sort of need to find that balance. Like, I understand that you are concerned about what your parents and family think,
yeah,
and you miss them a lot,
yeah,
but you also bring up a lot of health concerns, just even being that physically your body reacts to what you're going to be what you identified as like a lot of the air pollutants like with
yeah.
the allergies eczema, so like you feel a lot healthier in Canada. I'm not trying to sway one
Yes,
way or
true.
another, but it's like I just think it does sound like you're making these cases and you say like I know like you will do what's great for you because you're a very like you're very passionate in what you do, and I
Yeah,
think I think um that we're doing some reflecting, and I think I'm sorry, I am doing a lot of thinking. May I just have a moment just to collect and reword my thoughts
sure.
because yeah, thank you. No, like it just sounds like there's just sort of you're making these cases, and I can understand missing the family. Are you able to go home and visit them? Like how often? Like do you think that there's sort of these type of opportunities?
Yeah, I do think so. Like most, when I was studying as an undergrad student, I went back to Hong Kong every year to visit them for like 4 months.
Okay.
So it's really good to be able to see them a long period of time.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe like just sort of after sort of undergrad, regardless of what you do, that maybe you could use some of those times to plan these trips around maybe sort of like family tradition times. Maybe not specifically like, the winter holiday, but if you have sort of like just random times throughout the year, like I don't know if there's family traditions.
Yeah, that sounds a good idea because maybe if I got a full-time job, there may be I could take the day off, like a week off, and then I could go back to Hong Kong to visit my family, and that way I could like visit and see them again.
Yeah, I know that like it's not the same as being able to go all the time and see them like sort of in person on a regular basis, but sort of one of the things that I would be concerned about is just sort of you were saying the effects on your physical health, and even though maybe you would have more of those in-person supports in Hong Kong if it's constantly having a drag on the physical health, like it does take that wear, and I think that it sounds like you've made a lot of great sort of connections with your sort of peers and programs, but also just like with the nature and the scenery in Canada. It's just sort of the way that you're talking about it. Like I just noticed that you lit up a bit more and sort of like if we could just take a moment, like I've noticed when we were talking about this, you gave a lot of pros for Canada and a lot of cons for returning to Hong Kong. Was that intentional, or were you just sort of?
Yeah, actually, in my mind, I really want to follow my heart, but sometimes I think I really care about how my families think about me. Like I sometimes really care about, um, yeah, how they think. Like I really
Have
want
you
to make
tried?
my mom happy. Sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit like people pleaser, but at the same time, I really want to follow my heart. I really
Yeah.
want to be
No,
doing what
that
I
makes
want.
sense.
So that's why it's
Have you
just
tried talking to your family about this?
actually it's only mom who asked me to go back to Hong Kong. My father actually support me to stay in Canada. He also told me that he also would want to move to Canada for retirement. So
Okay.
just the mom.
So do you think that's no, that's good because like maybe you could have a discussion sort of with everyone and just sort of see like may I don't know how far off your parents are from like retirement, but it sounds like a big concern has been just sort of that isolation. If they plan to come to Canada, that could be a potential solution. But also, I think it's important to have just sort of a very frank talk, like what you said to me, like exactly just sort of laying out these pros and cons, and maybe just see what her think is. Like it sounds like you sort of brought this idea, but I don't know if I don't. I'm wondering just sort of how much you sort of brought the full case and not just sort of listen to her saying that she would like to. Has there been sort of discussions?
Um, sorry, I'm a little bit confused.
No, that's my bad. That was a very wordy way, but have you had like just a very open and honest like a two-way conversation, or have you just sort of had the idea that she wants you to come back?
Yeah, last time when I talked to my mom, like every time when I call her, she just asked me, "Oh, will you come back to Hong Kong to get a job after you graduated?" She seems like she really wanted me to go back. Like every time when we
Mm-hmm.
talk, she just brought up this kind of idea. So that's why I think.
How do you like? How have you responded? Like, have you had the conversation and shared your side?
Um, for me, yes, I do. I do share
Okay.
my viewpoint, but she seems really miss me
Yeah, that sounds
and my
really
sister,
hard.
so that's why.
Yeah, no, and I think that it's very difficult to be a mother and have both like two of your children across the world. And I can understand where she's coming from, but I think it is something that it does have to come down to you to make that decision. And kind of, it sounds cheesy, but what does your gut say? Like sometimes you have these intuitions, and
My gut tells me I would stay in Canada. I
okay.
think I would follow my heart, but maybe I just need some time to tell my mom, persuade my mom for my decision. Hopefully, to make her respect my decision. Say something that would make her happy, and maybe I could tell her that I would visit her every year, even though we don't see
Mm-hmm.
each other um, really often, but we could still call each other to connect. And then, yeah, I just want.
And then just sort of to wrap things up, do you think that maybe just sort of between now and the next time we see that you could just sort of try sort of making this proposed plan just sort of to her? It sounds like she strives with just having that structure and having the facts out. Do you think we could try doing that?
That's a really good idea. Maybe I do a little bit more reflection and show her.
You're doing a really good job, Jessica. Like I can see that you're doing a lot of internal work, and I think that your mom she loves you. You're very close and she wants what's best for you. I know it may seem like that, but I think just having an open conversation, it could help just clear the air and like see everyone's perspective. Yeah. So yeah, does that sort of sound like a plan? Just sort of maybe try this and then in a couple of weeks we can reconnect?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.